And we are back here looking at Maryland football, looking at to see if Mike Locksley can make his way out of the 4-8 dungeon, finally getting in over 500, trying to get back to some of the success that they had in those 8-5 years just a few seasons ago. Let's get into this. Thank you for watching and joining me on the Football Expert. My name is Reichley Ruby, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach my goal of 6,600 subscribers by the end of July. Like this video if you enjoy it, and comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you think about Maryland football. Do you think Mike Locksley should be fired? What point in the season should he get fired? Do you think that he will be able to avoid getting fired? Because I feel like right now he is one of the top. I think he's either the top or number 2 coaches in predicted being fired by betting odds. I don't know what website. I just saw it somewhere. I don't really track that stuff, but that's pretty high, and for good reason. But there's also some reasons for hope that starts with Malik Washington, the quarterback, who had a very good freshman campaign, did have below 60% completion percentage, but had 17 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions, which isn't bad for a rookie quarterback, and just under 3,000 yards, which isn't bad at all. I think that is a very good year overall for him. Do bring back the top two rushers, which one of them is Malik Washington. The other one is Deshaun Williams. You do lose most of your top wide receivers, your top 3 specifically, but you do bring back some other defensive pieces, 8 defensive starters, 6 offensive starters, which is very high, especially for a team like Maryland. In this tenure of college football. So Locksley back in his 8th year at Maryland. I cannot believe it's been 8 years, but just to recap here how he's been doing at Maryland: 3-9, 2-3, 7-6, 8-5, 8-5, 4-8, 4-8. That has been his 10 years so far at Maryland, after the disastrous couple of 10 years before. So he's brought Maryland to some heights with those 2 8-5 seasons in 2022 and 2023. The problem is that the same issue occurs every single time. Last year, look at it: wins against Florida Atlantic, Northern Illinois, Townsend, and at Wisconsin. Lost the remaining 8 games of the season. Then in 2024, beat Connecticut in week 1, beat Virginia in week 3, beat Villanova in week 4, and then beat UCLA at home in like week 6, I think, but then lost all the rest of the remaining schedule. Similar thing went on in 2022, where you won the first 4 out of 5 games, but then lost a bunch at the end. Same thing in 2021. Same thing in 2023. The problem with this Maryland team is they win early, they look good early, but then they look terrible at the end. And this is the problem that I see with Locksley. And this is what I'm going to get into. So first game of the season is a game against Hampton. Easy win here, no problems. They're just not a good football team. Road game against UConn. Easy win here. Once again, Jim Mora no longer the coach at UConn. If he was, then it would probably be a little bit closer of a game, but still a win to Maryland. Game number 3. This one is an interesting matchup. A home game against Virginia Tech. And to be frankly honest, what I went with this game was the fact that Locksley is good in the first few games of the season. So I think that they get a win here against Virginia Tech. It also helps us at home early on in the season. And Virginia Tech's quarterback situation is iffy kind of right now. It may end up being fine. It may. But right now, it's just kind of is there going to be the transfer from North Carolina? Is it going to be the transfer from Penn State that came with James Franklin? So I'm a little iffy on that. So therefore, I'm going to go with the experience that this defense has and that Malik Wilson has at the quarterback position. Then you got UCLA, a home game against the Bruins. Even though I like Bob Chesney, I think that with this being his first year, he does have some stuff at UCLA to work on. Nico Iamaleava is a decent quarterback, but coming all the way across the country early on in the season is just not a good time frame for Maryland. So I have this for UCLA, my apologies, UCLA. So I have this as a win here for Maryland. But after a 3 out of 4 game home stretch to start off this season, now we get into Big Ten play, or now we get into real Big Ten play, I should say. Obviously, just played UCLA, but Either way, first, then you have Nebraska, a road game against Nebraska. This is going to be a loss. Nebraska with Cardoza at quarterback, I think is going to be better. I think that Matt Rule has a better defense, and I think that this is where, once again, that switch goes in with Game 5. They played well against Washington. They even played decently against Nebraska last year, but then they started to fall off at that point in the season. So I have this as a loss. Road game against Ohio State, I had this as a loss as well. Ohio State's just a better team. They're more talented. They're better. I don't think most Maryland fans, you guys would argue with me. I think that they're better. A road game, a home game coming home after the 2-game road stretch against Rutgers. I think that this is going to be a loss as well. I think Schiano has this with Antoine Raymond, who may be the best running back in the Big Ten, most underrated player in, honestly, college football. Him and then the Iowa running back are some of the most underrated players, honestly. And even Jaden Baugh at Florida, also very underrated. The top running backs are very underrated this year for some reason. It didn't help that the bigger names were gone after last year, with guys like Jeremiah Love and Singleton and Price and all over the board. But we'll see. And they're also not at the biggest universities. They're not at Michigan or Ohio State or Notre Dame or even Penn State, kind of. But yeah, with that, then the next game is it's a bye week and then a home game against Illinois. Oh, I forgot to mention, Rutgers is also coming off the bye week in this game. So I could see that also playing to Rutgers' advantage. Then a bye week for Maryland, and then they play Illinois. I think that this is a loss. Illinois is just a better team. Defensively, they're great. Offensively, they'll have a good run game. I think the quarterback situation for Illinois is going to be iffy with Caton Hauser, the ECU quarterback transfer, or Michigan State. I forget whether he's from ECU more recently, or he's from Michigan State more recently. But either way, I think that it's a loss. Road game against Purdue, I think that this is a win. I do think that this just changed up the ball game. Purdue, I think, is the worst team in the Big Ten. One of the worst Power 4 teams. I think Boston College is worse, but I think Barry Odom does not have this Purdue team heading in the right direction. So I have this as a loss. Really, after Jeff Brom left, we really see how good of a job Jeff Brom did with Purdue and being able to get them to that place. So win there against Purdue. A home game against Wisconsin. If you watched my Wisconsin prediction, you would have saw what I talked about a little bit with this game. Luke Fickell, I think, will be fired at this point in the season because I just don't think Wisconsin's going to have a good season. So I think he will also be let go. And I don't think Loxley would be let go at this point of the season because he's 4-4 at this point in the season. And even though you lost 4 straight, maybe you get fired in the Illinois game, but you're 4-4. Like, can you really fire a Maryland coach for going 4-4 for the first 8 games? I think if they lost to Purdue, that would pretty much wrap it up. But I think if as long as you're beating Purdue, going 5-4, my apologies, going into this game. So therefore, I think Wisconsin has less to play for, and Maryland's at home. So Maryland wins this game, but this is a toss-up for me. I could really see either team winning it. Then a road game against USC. I have this as a loss. USC is dramatically more talented. Jada Mayava. The defense is even going to be decent this year. Gary Patterson, the defensive coordinator at USC, is a elite defensive mind, one of the most underrated defensive minds after he got let go at TCU with Sonny Dykes coming in. And people forgot how good of the defenses that TCU had. Yeah, you had Andy Dalton at quarterback and people like that, but you also had great defenses. There's a reason why in Sonny Dykes' first season at the Reins, they went to the national championship. That wasn't like a one-off that he brought in all this transfer talent. He brought in some of it, but it also was just good pieces were there, and therefore that happened. Home game against Penn State, I have this as a loss. I think Penn State and Matt Campbell will be rolling at this point. I think that Penn State is a dramatically better team than Maryland is, even with all the transfer losses and the recruitment losses. I like Matt Campbell as a head coach, and I think this will be what nails what nails the coffin for Mike Locksley with a 6-loss, 6-6 on the season. And therefore, I think that it is going to be the end of his tenure, just because Maryland's been so middling during this whole tenure that I'm frustrated watching this team for you guys as Maryland fans. 4 straight wins, 8 straight losses. That's not acceptable. It's not. Like losing to UCLA on the road by 3, barely losing to Nebraska, barely losing to Wisconsin. And then by the end of the year, you were getting blown out. Well, you lost by 10 to Michigan State, got blown out by Michigan, blown out by Illinois, even lost by 15 to Rutgers, blown out by Indiana. It's just not a good tenure. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Hit 1 or 2 videos down below, or hit the subscribe button up here. Help me reach my goal of 6,600 subscribers by the end of July. And as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.